Tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been coming to Bermuda.
Well, I've been coming to Bermuda probably 40 years. When I was younger, I'd come about 5 times a year. We would come to Kim Swan's Valentine tournament in February, and then I would come and play in the Bermuda Amateur at Mid-Ocean in March, and then I'd come and play in the Seniors in May, and then the stroke play in June. We had a timeshare at St. George's for 25 years, and we'd stay there for 2 weeks, and then I'd come over for the Open in October at Port Royal. So I've been coming quite a long time. I love Bermuda, but I haven't been able to come the last 2 years. I've had problems, so this is the first time I really miss it. This is the first time in 3 years. So when you get 92, you don't get to go every place you want to, you know.
What attracts you to Bermuda? What's attracted you to Bermuda over the years to make you keep coming back?
Well, my wife and I took a cruise over here long time ago, over 30 years ago, and I loved it. And while we were here, they were just opening St. George timeshare, and we bought a timeshare, but only got a lease for 25 years, so it's run out. So we'd come there every June. You know, we had 2 weeks, and then I would come. My wife's an RN, and she was working at first, so she wouldn't come with me for the golf tournament. But I told you I'd come over for about 5 golf tournaments a year, up till the last 4 or 5 years, yeah. So I love Bermuda and the people, you know.
Tell us a little bit about your love for the game of golf.
Well, I tell people this. I started out, I caddied during the Depression. A lot of people haven't lived as long as I have, 92 years, and don't remember the Depression. But in 32, I caddied for a quarter for 18 holes. But with that quarter, I could go to the movie for a dime, Coca-Cola nickel, ice cream nickel, popcorn nickel. Last time I went to a movie, my wife wanted to buy a box of popcorn, $4. I wouldn't buy it. She called me a cheapskate. So I'm used to, you know, paying a nickel. So anyway, and I've seen the prices over here go up too, you know, in 30-something years, yeah. Yeah. But then that's how I learned golf, and then fortunately after the war, I was not too busy. I was in coal mining, and I wasn't too busy in the summertime, but in the wintertime I worked a lot of times 7 days a week. But it gave me time during winter, and I played in the Masters at British Amateur at Portugal, 51. I played in the British Open at St. Andrews. I played in the U.S. Open with Ben Hogan in 53, and I played in the Senior Amateur. I'm the only one that's played in all those tournaments, and amateur. And at my club, a lot of the younger guys, you know, they say, I hear you played in the British Open, you know, like bull. Luckily, I got it all on tape, so I have them over and show it. And Kim has a tape. I get sent him one, you know. So I've been real lucky. I played with a lot of great people.
Excellent. I hear you've been invited to a tournament over at Mid-Ocean while you're here?
Yes, they're having the Mid-Ocean Invitational. They have it every November. And I've been coming to it for 30-odd years, yeah. Yeah. And we've had good weather in November except this year, but, you know, you have to play the ball as it lies, yeah.
I understand you were also a bit of a basketball player in your day.
Well, yeah, I went to college on basketball scholarship, so way I could afford to go in the 30s, and so I played basketball for Kentucky.
You mentioned serving in the armed forces.
Yes, sir. I enlisted in the Navy in early 42, and I served till 46. And I was lucky that every time I was hit, some other people got killed, but I was lucky, and everybody says how fortunate I am to have 5 Purple Hearts, but I have Silver Star and Distinguished Flying Cross and Distinguished Service Medal, and a bunch of Bronze Stars, and 21 altogether. So, like I say, I was just fortunate that they invite me back to Normandy. I was in Normandy for the division. I got wounded twice. Once when my ship was sunk, and then when I got on shore, they hit me again with machine guns, and they gave me the final rites on the beach, but they didn't know I was tough. So I'm just glad to be here at 92. But I love Bermuda, and I want to thank you for coming, taking your time to interview this old man.
My pleasure. Such a highly decorated person must come with a lot of memories of not so great times.
Oh boy.
Of some hard times.
Well, you know, I was interviewed for national TV last year, or was it the year before, honey, and they asked the same question. And I tell people that the worst, I've had a lot of bad experience. Number one, I was in gunnery, on the gunnery officer, and it was either in Sicily or Italy. We were in on landing at North Africa, Sicily, and Italy before we went to Normandy D-Day. I guess this was at Salerno, Italy. I had a chief gunner's mate sitting beside me, and I had the controls. I controlled the big guns, and he controlled the AA guns. And all at once there was blood all over me, and I didn't feel anything. And I looked over, and his head was blown off. So I used to have nightmares about that, but that's the worst. A lot of the others were bad. Yeah.
But we have a lot of good memories of the years of golf playing in Bermuda.
Yeah, and then luckily when I came back, I got to play in all the big tournaments and met a lot of great people. I played with Ben Hogan, Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Kim Swan. From here, we used to come over to his Valentine tournament, and that's when we fell in love with Bermuda, and he's been a great friend all these years.
And are you looking forward to coming back to Bermuda?
Well, I hope I'll be back next year, but you know, people say, will you be back next year? And I say, if I can walk. Like I went back to the Open at St. Andrews last year, and we were there 5 years before. They have it every 5 years, and 6 years ago they said, now you'll be back in 5 years. And I said, if I can walk. They said, if you can't walk, we'll have a wheelchair for you. So I came back. They didn't have a wheelchair for me, but they had a private parking place in St. Andrews. I was the only one. Tiger didn't have one, any other. And my favorite story is at the parties, Gary Player and Peter Thompson, who won the tournament the year I was there in '55, and Byron Nelson, he died. So it was just three of us, and Gary Player gave me a hard time. He says, Harreld says, you know, you've got the only private parking place in St. Andrews, and I've won 3 claret jugs. Peter Thompson's won 5. He says, how did you do it? I said, I don't know. They just gave it to me. So on Friday night at the last party, he said, Harreld, I want to apologize to you. The RNA said 5 Purple Hearts trumps 5 claret jugs. So that's Gary Player, okay? So I've had a great run in golf. I played with Bob Hope, played with him in the British Amateur at Portugal '51, and he invited me out to Hollywood. And when I got back to Kentucky, old country boy, they said, what's the difference in Hollywood and Kentucky? I said, they take their clothes off just like we do. They just take them off more often. So I was young then, you know. Yeah.
Tell me a little something about Bobby Jones.
Well, I was very fortunate. I had a friend who was his dentist at in Atlanta, and I went there a long time ago, and he told Bobby Jones about that. I had played in the big tournaments, you know, and this was 1954. So he said, well, bring him to he always had a Christmas party, and so all he wanted to talk about was golf and this and that. And he said, now Harreld, you've played in the British Amateur, U.S. Amateur, and the U.S. Open. You've got to go to the British Open, and that'll be all 4. It's at St. Andrews next year. He says, all you got to do is enter through the USGA, because you've played in all the big tournaments, and you have to qualify over there. In those days, you had to qualify 18 holes on the new course and 18 on the old course. So I wrote the RNA secretary, General Brickman, told him to make me reservations. I was coming over for the Open. They say the Open. He writes me back, says, my dear boy, when they have the Open at St. Andrews, people make reservations 5 years in advance. But if you could afford a guinea a night, you may stay with us and we'll furnish you bed and breakfast. So I had to look up. A guinea was $2.50, American money, and we had this big estate, the Nork, which we took pictures. I've got pictures of all that. So I've gone back to St. Andrews every 5 years after that when they have the Open. But anyway, Bobby Jones was the one that got me. And then people don't realize, but on Wednesday, with practice round, they built a par 3 short course, and Palmer, Player, and Jack Nicklaus play together, and everybody wants to see that. But before that, he would invite an amateur each year on Wednesday to play with Byron Nelson and Ben Hogan. So he invited me a couple of years. So that was great to be able to play with Bobby Jones. And then the last time I saw him, he had this back operation, and he was in a wheelchair. And we go to the Masters every year. He got us badges, so he was a great guy. In fact, they talk about Tiger and Jack Nicklaus the best, but he might be the best of all time because he played with wooden shafts, you know, an old ball. No telling what he'd done, you know, but he was a great friend, yeah. So that's about it.
Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy your trip, and hope to see you back soon.
Thank you, sir.